Hi everyone, my name is Greg Anderson and this is the Good Timekeeping Show with Greg Anderson. Today, once again, I want to talk about some Casio watches. These are kind of some bargain entry-level watches, but they still have some really nice features and I like these watches, so I thought let's take a few minutes and get in depth and talk about some more Casio Waveceptor watches. Okay, today I want to show you two very different watches. Look at them. Well, I know you're probably thinking those aren't very different watches. Look, they look like they have the same case, the same watch band. How can they be so different? All right, let's look at the faces and you can see the LCD displays are different on these two watches. Upon closer inspection, you see they are very different watches. This one on the left is the Casio WV-58A, and this one on the right is the WV-M60. They have different displays. You can see this one, the time is actually just a little bit larger than it is over here, and here it's in the middle line, here it's on the bottom line. But this main display is still showing you, hours, minutes, seconds, the time zone, and the date. It's all displaying the same thing. But yeah, they are significantly different when you look under the hood. So from this point on, I'm going to split this off into two videos. And well, for this one, I'm going to focus on the watch on the right. This is that WV-M60 watch. So let's take a closer look at this. So here it is, the WV-M60. But you know what? While we're at it, let me zoom out here and show you a couple variations that are very, very similar. The display is identical on these other two watches. This one is the WV-200A, and this is the WV-200DA, as in Douglas Adams. So you can see they have the same display, just there's kind of a gold accent around there, red there, and this is kind of a sort of a silver. There's kind of a blue color scheme going on there. But these all have the same functions and features almost. There's just one distinguishing characteristic of this one, and I'll tell you about it in a moment. There they are, and you can see in the main display you've got hours, minutes, seconds. There's the date, there's the day of the week, and this is actually a signal reception indicator right there. They're all the same in the way you set them up. You press the buttons, they're all going to do the same thing. So let's just zero in and take a closer look. Okay, right now I have this watch in auto display mode, and it's just scrolling between world time and local time on the display. Every few seconds it changes back and forth. When it's in auto display mode, it also turns off the atomic time reception. So you might find the watch in auto display mode when it's in the display case at the store. This is a way to save a little bit of battery power. It's easy to take it out of auto display. You just press any button and then it's going to stop scrolling back and forth. It's just going to go to regular timekeeping mode. So again, in regular timekeeping mode, there's a lot to see there, and the next mode is your world time mode. You can select any time zone you want. Right now I've got it selected London, so that's Greenwich time plus or minus 0, or UTC. It's fun that while it's showing your world time, whatever time zone you've selected here in the main display, right up there it's still showing you the local time of your home time zone, so that's kind of fun. You can select a different time zone by pressing this button on the lower right side. It's as though you're going eastward on the map, and each time zone is named after a major city in that time zone. So Moscow, you're getting through the, Asia here, there's Hong Kong, there's, let's see, Tokyo, and it just keeps going like that. So you can keep scrolling ahead, and it goes eastward only in this mode. So I'm going to take it back to London. Sometimes they do daylight saving time in London. So if I wanted to show one of these world time zones with daylight saving time, all I do is hold down this adjust button for a couple of seconds. And you can see that it adjusts here. A DST has lit up in this display here, and it's showing me now that London is UTC +1. So I can have that, or I can take it back to no daylight saving time just by holding that same button again. Okay, the next mode is your countdown timer, and you can set that from 1 minute all the way up to 60 minutes and just have it count down for you. So pretty standard, just like a lot of other digital watches. You just hold the adjust button down, and then using these buttons on the right side, you can make that up or down and select just however many minutes you want it to count down, and then press go, and it'll count down. When it's finished counting down, it'll beep for about 10 seconds. When it's in countdown mode, automatic, radio control reception, atomic time reception is disabled. So if you want it to do atomic time reception, turn off the countdown timer, or just after it runs out, it'll turn itself off anyway. So if you don't have to worry about it too much. But I'm going to turn it off right now. The next mode is a stopwatch. So it's going to count minutes, seconds, and hundredths of a second. Again, pretty standard as far as compared to other digital watches. This button here on the upper left is going to give you split time. So kind of a lap timer there. Also, when you stop the stopwatch, if you want to reset it, that's the button you use there on the upper left. So again, nice stopwatch. If it goes all the way up to 60 minutes, it's going to reset to 0 and keep on going. So you can time things that last longer than 60 seconds, but you are going to have to keep track of how many hours that is. And the watch is going to track, again, minutes, seconds, and hundredths of a second for you on that stopwatch. Okay, the next mode is the alarm. So there's one alarm, daily alarm, and you can set that to whatever time you want using this adjust button here. Okay, there you go. You can set hours, whatever time you want there, up or down using these buttons on the right. And then minutes, you can again go up or down using these buttons on the right. And when you change the alarm setting, it automatically activates the alarm right up there. That shows that the alarm is set to go. And that also shows you the hourly signal is set to go. Use this button here on the lower right to select whether or not, right now, they're both off. Right now, just the alarm, but not the hourly signal. I push it again, and now it's the hourly signal, but not the alarm set to go. And then they're both on. So you just scroll through those options using this button down here on the lower right side. Okay, next up is, we're back to our regular timekeeping mode. So from here, when you first get the watch, let's say you've gotten it out of the auto display mode. So the first thing you're going to want to do is make sure you've properly selected your home time zone, and you hold down the adjust button to do that. If I hold that down, okay, this is showing me Denver as my home time zone, the mountain time zone. That's right for me, even though I'm not in Denver itself. If I use this button on the lower right side, it's as though I'm going eastward on the map. And in this mode, you can also go westward on the map using this upper button on the right. So keep going and select your local time zone. I'm going to take that back to Denver, and there I go. There's my local time zone. Next, if I push the mode button again, it's going to allow me to select my daylight saving time setting. In this case, it's going to be automatic based on the information it receives from the atomic time transmitter. So it can be automatic, or you could have it always be off, or you could have daylight saving time always be on. But again, I prefer auto. Press mode again, and now you've got either your 12-hour or 24-hour display that you can do. Okay, next, this is where you can manually set the time just in case you're having problems with your atomic time reception. So seconds, hours, minutes. Here you can select the year. Here you can select the month and the day of the month. Now, whatever you set here, if you set it to something other than what the atomic clock is going to tell you, this time setting that you've set manually is going to be replaced by the atomic time information when this watch is able to receive atomic time information. So you can manually set it, but it's going to be overridden. Next, push that again. And here you can select your language. There are several languages. And the only thing that really affects is the day of the week. So if I scroll through here, I've got English, there's Spanish. This one is French, Portuguese, German, Italian, Chinese, that's Russian right there, and that's Japanese. So I can select whatever language I want. Let's say Portuguese. No, let's do German. So German, this is Friday, and that's what it's going to show you for Friday in German. But I'm going to select. I'm going to set that back to my language. Let's go in here. I'm going to select that back to English because, I just prefer English. And press mode again, and this is where you can select whether you want the month and the day of the month to be displayed in this order, month first, or press this button on the lower right, and you can have day and then month right there. So it's either 9th day of November, 9/11, or it's November 9th. So just depending on what you prefer, you do have that option right there. And push mode again, and now you're back to the beginning, and this is where you can set your local time zone. Now, as I've been showing you all of this, every time I push a button, I get a little beep. And I'm going to hold this watch right up to the microphone. Okay, so those are the kind of beeps you're going to hear every time you press a button to change modes. Maybe you don't want that. The newer Casio watches all seem to feature the ability to mute that. So here I am back at my regular timekeeping screen. If I hold down this button on the lower left, I can mute that beep. Okay. Whew. And when I did that, the word mute appeared right here under the seconds. So now when I push that button, I don't get that beep. I'll even hold this up to the microphone. See, and you can't hear the beep. All right. So there's a nice feature you can activate there. Now, when it comes to atomic time reception, this watch here is unique compared to these other two. Now, all of these can receive atomic time information from WWVB in the United States, or there's an atomic time transmitter in the UK, and they can receive from that one as well, just depending on where you are and what you've set this to show for your home time zone. It's going to try to receive its time information from the nearest transmitter. So you've got US and UK on all of these watches, but this one in the middle features multiband 5. So with Casio's multiband 5, in addition to the United States and the UK atomic time transmitters, this can receive from one in Germany or 2 in Japan. So a total of 5 atomic time transmitters that this watch can access. If you're not going to travel to Europe, and use the German one, or if you're not going to be in Japan, then you really won't notice a difference. But again, just a little bit extra feature-rich stuff in this watch here. Also, right here, this little dial indicates your signal strength. So number 1, when it's receiving its atomic time information, if you've got a number 1, that's not very good. 2 is better, but you need all 3. You need a level 3 quality of reception to have it successfully set itself for atomic time. And so that's something you can see right here. Now, let me first show you if I'm in regular timekeeping mode here. If I push this, just tap this button on the lower right, this is where it's going to show me the last time it was able to get its atomic time information. I was fiddling with this, just a couple of hours ago this afternoon. So I manually made it get atomic time information today. That's today's date at about 2:23 this afternoon. So that's the last successful reception. If you don't manually make it receive, then it's going to try every night at midnight. It'll start trying to receive. And if it's successful on that first try, after about anywhere from about 3 up to 10 minutes, if it's successful, then it's going to stop trying to receive until the next night. But if it's not successful, reception wasn't very good, or just something was wrong, then it's going to try again at 1 a.m. And if not successful, it'll try again at 2 a.m. and it'll keep trying every hour until I believe 6 a.m. is the last time it will try. And then it'll just try the next night. It'll try every night to receive and adjust itself to that atomic time information. When you're on the screen right here where it's showing you the last time it was able to get atomic time information, you can hold this button on the upper left, the adjust button, and this is where you can actually turn off the automatic reception of atomic time information if you choose. So using this button down here on the right side, you can turn that off if you want to, or turn it on again. You turn it off to save battery power, I guess, or if you just, for some reason, you don't want it to be receiving atomic time information, you can turn that off. Now, if you turn it off, if this thing isn't receiving atomic time information, it's going to run like a regular quartz watch with accuracy to within a few seconds a month. You know, it does okay. But I prefer to leave it on because that's a nice feature that it has anyway. Now, if you want to manually make it start to receive atomic time, then all you do is hold down this button on the lower right side. So let me see if that'll work from this mode here. If I just hold that down. Okay, there I go. So now you can see RC, radio control, it's trying now. And right there, it's showing me just a level 1 reception, only 1 bar there. So not very good. It's probably due to the fact that it's the afternoon. It's not the best time for reception. These radio signals tend to travel better at night. So that's why it tries to do it at night. Also, I've got my video gear running, so that's probably interfering with reception a little bit. So it's trying to tell me that it's got a level 3 reception, and that's the best reception, but you see that's kind of intermittent there. So it's not the best reception, but it's trying. And probably if I moved it to another room farther away from my video gear, it would probably be able to set itself right now. But here around the video gear and the lights and stuff, it's got a little bit of interference, I'm sure. So that's why it can't quite get a solid level 3 reception right now. The backlight on these watches, pretty typical for digital watches. You got a light button here on the upper right side. Push that down, and you got this nice blue glow for your night backlight. That stays on for, what is that, about 3 seconds? Yeah, not bad. Same for this version. And same for this version here. Now just comparing the different versions here, you've got, this is the budget version here, typical resin watch band, not bad. Here's the one that costs just a little bit more, and not bad there. It says water resist 200 meter on the watch band. And you can see it's got a nice thick case on there. So, that I guess that's why it's 200 meter water resistant, has that thicker case. There's also a version of this that's virtually identical, except that if you can imagine all the black resin plastic on here is red. That's a version that you can get for about the same price. I don't have it, but it's out there. And then here's the metal version. So a nice metal bracelet. Again, it's got the thick case because it's 200 meter water resistant. Let me take it off of this here. And you can see there's your watch bracelet. It's kind of a funny bracelet in that it doesn't totally flatten out, but that's all right. You can remove links and, size that to your wrist. Not a big deal to do that. As far as adjusting the watch band, this is pretty typical. A lot of watch bands have something like this. So right here, along this edge of the watch band, see, I can put a little something in there and get it in that hole. And if I kind of push it just right, let's see if I can do that. This one's a little bit tight compared to some other watches I have, but let's see. Push that in there and just give it a nice little shove. There we go. Okay, so I've managed to get that to stick out just a little bit. There we go. That's how it's supposed to work. So depending on how many of these you want to take out, then you can remove links and you can, get that taken care of. When you've got the right amount of links, put that back down where it's supposed to go. Give it a nice push with something stout. Okay, I had to put the pliers around it like this to get it to squeeze back in. That's a little bit of a hassle, tighter than I wanted it to be, but it's back in place, so I think we're okay now. So here they are all together, these watches I've been featuring today, these two that I first started with, and then these other variations. They all have the same functions and features, almost exactly the same, just except for this one has multiband 5 and the others are only good for UK and US atomic time reception. But if I push the buttons on any of these watches, the same combination of buttons, they're going to do the same exact thing on all of these watches. And so they're good entry-level watches for anyone who wants to get into atomic timekeeping and not spend a lot of money. These two watches here, you can find these for under $30 pretty easily online. or even from local retailers like Walmart and Target and stuff like that. This one here, you're going to pay a little bit more. This is more about $35 or so. But again, you might find a bargain better than that. And these ones that have the metal bracelet, you're going to look at about $45 for those. But again, you can look for coupons and special offers and sales and stuff, and you might get a better price than that. So considering that it has a lot of the typical features of your digital watches, plus atomic timekeeping, those are good entry-level prices for these guys. These two right here, 50-meter water resistant. This one also 50 meters. And these bigger ones here, 200-meter water resistant. In fact, these kind of remind me of G-Shock watches. They're not quite as tough as G-Shock watches, but you're starting to get there on these with your 200-meter water resistance. And if you're not too tough on them, they're probably going to be holding up almost as well as a G-Shock watch. Each of these watches uses a lithium CR1620 battery, and that's good for about 3 years of use. So not bad. Every 3 years or so, you'll have to change the battery, but still, I would say if you got a young child that wants to get into atomic timekeeping and wants a fancy watch, and you don't want to break the bank too much, these are really good entry-level watches. By the way, if for any reason you want to put it back in the demo mode, what Casio calls auto display, it's going to disable your automatic time reception, but maybe you want to do that. It'll save your battery if well, I'm not going to use this watch for a few days, so maybe I'll just turn off that automatic reception and save my battery. Easy to put that back into the auto display mode. What you want to do is press these two buttons at the same time on the right side. But I would say press the top button, which is the light button, just slightly before the other one. So light and then the bottom button, and just hold them down together. And when you do that and hold it down for just about 2 seconds, there you go. Now it's going to be in that auto display mode, disabling automatic time reception, and make it look like it was supposedly when it came from the factory and was sitting in the display case. Well, thanks everyone for watching another episode of the Good Timekeeping Show with me, Greg Anderson. I'm going to have some more videos coming up soon, not always watch reviews. I've got some clocks I want to talk about. I want to talk about some timekeeping concepts and history and all kinds of fun stuff coming up. So please stay tuned.